Okay, here we go. Got it on. We should be, and it's showing red, but we'll see. We'll see, I think. I think we're live, Bubba.
We good?
Now just remember you can turn your phone down if you want to answer any questions or anything else. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are live with the Fripp Outdoors podcast, brought to you by Fripp. They are the makers of some of the coolest, bestest, neatest outdoor type t-shirts and outerwear that you can get anywhere. I've got one right back there that's hanging up. I mean, they've got anything from crappie to bass to duck hunting to whatever your outdoor passion is. Fripp will have a pattern that fits you. Fripp Outdoors. Where's your adventure? Okay, today our guest is the famous Jake Darling from, I want to say, North Georgia's oldest, most successful, full-service guide business in that area. I mean, you guys are top dogs. Am I correct?
Yes, Scott. We've been around for 94. Run a full-service fly shop. Got a guide service. We're located in Helen, which is in northeast Georgia. We're about an hour and 15 minutes from Atlanta. Specialize in trophy trout fishing on fly. We do some wild trout fishing, some hiking, small stream, high elevation, dry fly fishing. And then a new thing we've had going for a couple of years, shoal bass and stripers here in the Chattahoochee River north of Lake Lanier.
What exactly is a shoal bass?
So a shoal bass, species of black bass, native to the Apalachicola River Basin. So it's a very limited range fish. A lot of times they're confused with a smallmouth. A little bit different species. They're a river-dwelling fish. They act a lot like a smallmouth. They've got, vertical tiger bars along their body. We've got a smooth tongue patch. And a lot of times they'll have a black blot right near the tail, where the tail meets the body, and then also right on the tip of the gill plate too as well.
Now, is that are they like a largemouth or something?
Closest cousin genetically is a spotted bass. A little bit smaller fish, especially here, because it's colder here most of the year. We don't have a very long growing season. They really like warm weather. They don't spawn until the water temperature reaches about 69 to 74 degrees. A lot of times here, that's May to even June.
Right.
So when it's cold, it's not a big window to grow a big fish. Trophy fish in the Chattahoochee is probably, 6 pounds, 6.5 pounds tops.
Well, that's a big shoal bass then, isn't it?
That's a trophy shoal bass. Anything over 16 inches is a really good one. Just like a smallmouth is known to be a hard fighter. They're not a fish that pulls a lot of drag, but they're going to pull up their sleeves and come to the boat and fight you there. So, dig deep, pull hard. A lot of times, especially in the months, you can catch them on top. So a lot of fun.
Now, you're talking about your trophy trout. Now, is that a weighed in, or do you run your G3 jet up there, or is it both? Is it like trophy areas or something?
Yeah, so the trophy trout is private properties that are managed trophy fisheries. all wade fishing. A lot of times they're on smaller streams, not accessible by boat. We do some drift boat trips on the Toccoa tailwater below Lake Blue Ridge. There is some trophy class fish there. Trophy managed water is all wade fishing.
Right. Now, what are you talking? What's considered a trophy trout in North Georgia?
We have here a lot of places they're measured in pounds and not in inches. If you go over to the Lee, I'd say average fish over there is going to be 3 to 7. We've got some that'll go 12.
Really? 12 pounds. That's a good trout anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, all right. So you've got your trophy. Now, is that what it's considered? That's the. What do you talk about? Private areas? Is that people that own that part of the river, or?
Yeah, exactly. It's private landowners on the river. Pretty much all fly fishing, catch and release operations. If we've got a fairly cool summer, then we can hold fish through the summer, and that's how you get those 10 to 12 pounders.
Well, I mean, I guess they don't own the water, so what you're saying is they own the land. They own the bottom.
Well, it depends in Georgia. If it's deemed a non-navigable waterway or a navigable waterway, these areas that are managed for trophy fisheries, they're on non-navigable waterways. So the property lines actually go out to the middle of the river bottom. So you can't float through, you can't wade through or anything. It is private property.
Even on the water?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, I guess if you own the bottom, I guess, I guess they can just say where they dictate or whatever else that you, where you can fish. So
yeah, I mean, it all boils down to if it's a navigable waterway or not.
Yeah. Well, now, what's the peak seasons? I mean, I'm sure it's happening now. Now, first off, tell me a little bit. Now, last year, you guys didn't have any water at all, right?
Yeah, last year was very dry. Last 2 years.
Yeah. So you guys are very dry. So this year you've got just bukus of water. Does that help? I mean, would you rather have it low water or would you rather have a lot of water?
It kind of depends on what we're doing. For the trout, a little bit higher water, higher oxygen content, a little easier to fish, higher water. Down on the lower river, if where we fish shoal bass and stripers, if you've got very high water, then the guys in the prop boats can get up there. And when it's low, I can get my G3 jet up there, and not many guys can go, so I can have it kind of to myself.
Now, you said you've got a G3 jet. I mean, tell me a little bit about it and how you use it. I mean, is it 16? Is that what it is?
Yep. So I've got a 1656 CCJ with a 6040 Yamaha on it. I'll put in. I can run. Probably about 6 miles upriver. I do a little bit of fishing out of the boat off the trolling motor, and then also get out and wade too some.
Right.
But I mean, without that jet, when the water's low, there's no way you can go. I mean, there's a lot of times where we're running in 5 or 6 inches of water.
That thing's like I always call those type of boats ATVs. They're like all-terrain boats.
It is amazing how shallow it'll go.
I've seen some of your videos. I think everybody from G3 to Yamaha used your one clip where you had that big S curve, I think, where you were coming in and kind of snaking around through there, and I mean that was not only was it skinny, but it was swift. Mm-hmm. And I think you were going upstream on it, and that just showed the diversity of that boat, and especially some of the terrain that you guys have to go in and fish. I mean, is that conducive? Those type of areas, is that some of the places you fish for trout, or would it be for the shoal bass?
Down there, that's going to be mostly shoal bass stripers. The Chattahoochee River starts north of Helen. It's a spring-fed river. And up top, it's mostly a trout fishery. As you go down a little bit closer to the lake, then you get into your shoal bass. And then the spring, we've got an annual run of stripers that come up from the lake. Down there, too warm in the summer months to support trout. So that's where we do all of our shoal bass fishing. The shoal bass are a current-oriented fish, much like a trout. They like to be around some sort of structure. They don't get on wood like a largemouth, but they like to be around rock.
So they're more like they like to hang around like goggle eye then.
Yeah, you say that.
That's what it sounds like. They fish just a big old goggle eye. Now, what's your basic baits? Are you live baiting or are you artificial or?
Everything we do is all artificial. The shoal bass and the striper, I do fly and light tackle trip. Do a lot of fly fishing for them in the warmer months. Actually prefer to fish the stripers on fly. When they're in the lake, the bait that they're eating is fairly small. And I can mimic the size of the bait up in the river very well with a fly rod. And they do fight very hard on fly rod.
We just got a comment from Aaron. Is it Tyree?
Aaron
Tyre. He says it's pronounced G-die. Now, what's that? G-die?
G-die.
What's he talking about? G-E-E-D-I. Talk to us, Aaron. What in the world are you talking about here? Yeah, it says pronounced G-die. What's he talking about? Who knows? Is that one of your buds there? Is he one of your...
Yeah, I know Aaron. He works, he guides on the Chattahoochee River down below the lake for trout.
Maybe that's just a North Georgia expression, G-die. Maybe is that what that is? I mean, the Cajuns ain't got nothing on you boys. I mean, y'all got some G-die.
We do have some hillbillies.
Of course, now you see that right up there above my finger, don't you?
Roll Tide.
We got a saying right there too that probably just runs deep, scares everybody over there in Georgia. Right there, you see that little A right there with that Roll Tide.
I thought we get you like.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. Now that's they only gonna get better, ain't they?
There's some grown men over there.
Oh my God, there is no doubt about it. Now, I mean, that Kirby's got them boys. They know how to win now.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh yeah,
for next year. So.
Oh yeah, I guarantee. And how neat! All the people were complaining because it was a SEC final and all that. Hey, who was it? Clemson and who was the other one in there? I can't remember. In the Final Four. But regardless, hey, they had their chance. If they'd have beat Alabama and then beat Georgia, there wouldn't have been one.
SEC football is a tough division.
Oh yeah. Now, I think am I correct in what else you guys fish for over there? You do some stripers, but you call them river stripers. Is it just because they're in the river?
Yeah. So in the spring, they come up out of Lanier on a spawning run. It's an unsuccessful spawn, but that's when we target them. It's when they're up the river.
Now,
Now,
where are they coming from? Are they stocked?
They are.
Okay, all right. Because I started saying, that's more of a saltwater type fish, so I didn't know whether they. Now, is there white bass over there too?
So we used to have a lot of
stripe. Y'all probably
we call them white bass.
Okay, all right.
We used to have a lot of white bass. Kind of died off a few years ago. Past 3 years, DNR's been stocking some white bass at the lake, and this year we saw quite a few of them come up.
You think they're going to cross the whites with the stripers or whatever and get you some hybrids or wipers or?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know of any plan to do that. We've got hybrids over on Hartwell, which is about 45 minutes away. But I haven't heard of any talk of putting hybrids in them either. There's quite a few lakes around here that have them.
I got a question right here from. Oh, hang on a second. Let me put my eyes on right here. People make fun of me. They don't realize how old I am, but it's about time that I had to wear me some glasses. Okay, this is from Brian Daly. It says, Jake, general question for fly fishers without a boat. If you could only fish with one fly for shoal bass, what fly would it be?
If I only had one fly for 12 months out of the year, there's a guy a little south Craig Randu who has a fly called a hairy fodder, which is a crayfish pattern. Hairy fodder, Fodder.
Oh, okay, I got you.
That fly is very versatile. You can change the eyes in it to change the weight based on where you want to fish it in the water column. Phenomenal shoal bass fly. Catch them on it 12 months out of the year.
Cool. I hope that answered your question there, Brian. I see my old buddy Gary Kilburn is watching us today. If Jake, let me tell you something. There's not a finer fella that I know of by this boy right here, Gary Kilburn. That guy right there. Gary, I hope you're still listening. Let me tell you something. If I call Gary at any given time of day or night, regardless of where he is, and I said, Gary, come get me, he'd be in the truck taking off before I'd even tell him which direction he was going. That's what a good fella he is. Everybody needs a guy like my buddy Gary Kilburn right there. Gary, you're an unsung hero, buddy. Thank you for watching.
Glad to have you, Gary.
All right. Yeah, now Aaron's chiming in because I couldn't get the name right. Harry Fodder, Fodder.
Yeah.
You know, you got to figure some of us. I've been away from the South too long, so I can't. I don't understand the lingo like I used to.
We got a little accent down here.
You know, I've spent more than half my life down there, and then I moved out here, and they've converted me into a hillbilly. So now I don't understand the Southern talk. So I'm gonna have more of you Southern boys on here where I can get the lingo and the dialogue going better. But now, talk about Unicoi Outfitters here. Interesting. Now, I guess that's an Indian name.
It is. Around the area, a lot of things have Unicoi. It's kind of there's a couple of different meanings behind it. Actual word Unicoi in the Indians is thought to be for white, the color white. So I don't personally know a lot of the history with the Indians in the area, so it's tough for me to chime in on that. How they come up with the name.
Well, I bet you can tell us about Unicoi Outfitters, though, and
of course,
you guys now. I mean, what is your position there at Unicoi?
I'm the manager.
So you're him.
I wear a lot of hats.
Well, I noticed you got a good hat on right there. You got a G3 hat on right there. But what? Let's just say that there's like me and a bunch of us. We haven't been to Unicoi Outfitters, and we call you up and say, "Hey, Jake, what's going on, man? We're thinking about taking us a road trip. So, what's going on with Unicoi Outfitters to make me want to come over there to North Georgia?"
So, Unicoi Outfitters is an Orbis endorsed fly fishing operation. And the Orbis endorsement is kind of a higher standard level of guides. It ensures that when customers travel different places across the country, that they're receiving a top level service. When you come into the shop, we carry a lot of fly fishing gear, about anything that you need to get fish. Glad to point you in the right areas to go. We've got a lot of great public water around the area. And then also our guide service. With our guide services, if you include our permits for all of our public waters that we got, there's about 36 different options. We've got 5 trophy waters that are managed for trophy class fisheries. We've got a lot of wild trout waters, which is super cool. In the summer, it's a pair of shorts, sandals, jump in the creek, you're wading. Nice, cool mountain water. They live in really pretty places. They're not very big fish, but they're naturally reproducing fish and really colorful. A lot of times they'll strike a dry fly on top, So you get to watch them actually come up and take the fly, and they strike it with a vengeance.
Do you guys do like teaching? Do y'all do a lot of that?
So we have on the water teaching. One of our trips, Gilligan Special, what we call a Gilligan Special. It's a 3-hour tour.
That'd be me right there. I've always wanted to. See, we have our opening day in our trout parks around here on the 1st of March. And it's just, I'm not kidding you. They're shoehorned in there, shoulder to shoulder, line to banks, everything. And they wait for a whistle, and then everybody just start whipping. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to go in there with a fly rod and start messing around with it behind their back, you know, and getting hung up in the tree and this, that, and the other. And just telling everybody, this is the first time I ever used a fly rod. I bet you it would part like the Red Sea. So then I could just have my own spot. And then I just pull my spinning rod out and just go to it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's how I am when it comes to fly fishing. I mean, I know so little about ripping and threading and whipping and casting and whatever you want to do.
The Gilligan Special is, you know, our most popular trip. A lot of our customers don't have much previous fly fishing experience. So we bring them in. We provide all the equipment. That's rod, reel, waders, boots. You got to have the fishing license. We do an hour of instruction. That's cast, line management, how to fight a fish with a fly rod. And then we go out and we do some instructional fishing on the trophy water for 2 hours. So now you're building a base knowledge of the sport enough to get you out and get you fishing on your own, but you also have a big fish too as well.
Now, is that in the boat or is that's wading?
That's wade fishing.
Okay, all right. Now, what's a good pair of waders?
You know, I mean,
Hodgman. You remember Hodgman? All them great Hodgman waders that they made forever, and then they got bought out, and it fell under the Pure Fishing umbrella. And had a great friend that was in charge of the Hodgman, and man, I love my duck hunting waders that we had. Well, he's since gone now, but I heard that they've got some. I mean, Hodgman has come out with some really good, you know, waders, but it's hard to beat Orvis, though, is it not?
It is. Yes. Orvis has got a broad lineup, depending upon, you know, a lot of guys at a price point. You know, there's some technological advancements in them, you know, as you go up in price level. You know, that's what we use for all of our client gear.
Now, you're an Orvis dealer, are you not?
We are an Orvis dealer.
Now, of course, I've always liked going into those Orvis fly shops, and because all the stuff's just so neat. You know, I mean, it's so above me. You know, I mean, you go in and you fish next to an Orvis guy who's I mean, full Orvis. This guy knows what he's doing. You know, but I always liked going in. I remember there used to be a Orvis shop in St. Louis, and any time I used to work St. Louis, I'd always go. I think it was in Clayton somewhere. But that shop was just the clothes, man. The khakis, man, they had some sweet khakis and shirts.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to be one of those fly fishermen where I had that vest and I had that little cotton, them little felty things on there where I could stick my flies on and have my flies in my hat. I'd normally do that, but that's just because I'm flipping them around and I get them hung in me. And then the barb's stuck in there, so I just cut the line and then that's where they're at. But,
you know, you got to look like you know what you're doing. You know, Orvis brand keep you looking good.
I think I've got something Orvis around here somewhere. I don't know. I think my grandma used to say, if you don't put that up, I'm going to stick it up your Orvis. But anyway, hey, guys, we're sitting here. We're talking to Jake Darling with Unicoi Outfitters. He's over there in North Georgia. And we're sorry that yesterday that this thing didn't work. That's just what you deal with sometimes with the internet. I don't have any answers as far as it just did not work. And that's why in this, when we put this new screen up right here, where it says live every Monday at 7 p.m. Central, that's why we put "we hope." Because we don't want to just tell you right off that we will be here, because we're planning on it. I mean, this is what we're trying to do every Monday night. But you never know what's going to happen. That's why we put "we hope" up here. But this is just to remind you guys, this is from Fripp Outdoor Podcast. And like I said, they make some of the sweetest shirts. I mean, they got the wicking shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve, any kind of pattern. Look here. I got one right up here. I don't think it's a shoal bass, but it's a bass. Anyway, you see that? Got a largemouth chasing what is he chasing? A bluegill right there. But man, these things are nice. I mean, just nice shirts. That's the only one I got, so that's why I like showing it off right here, because it's a sweet shirt. But these are wicking shirts. I highly suggest that any of you, if you wear a long or a XL and a cotton, I'd go with a size less in the wicking is what I'd go with. But we'll have to get you some, Jake, so you can. It'll go good with that Orvis stuff, man. You have one of them Fripp shirts on and them Orvis Daisy Duke shorts on that you get out there, and your hip boots. That'd be sweet. Hey, man, I cut you off earlier about the stripers. I want to hear about the stripers. We just been rambling and going and acting silly here. What about those stripers? What's your go-to technique on them?
So a lot of times we chase them on fly. Got to have a little bit bigger tackle. The fish are in current. So usually we go, 7 to a 9 weight rod, which is a little bit heavier fly rod. Pitch them a lot on sinking lines, a line that actually sink, and we can control how deep we fish the fly. One thing with the flies, they're unweighted, or a lot of very little weight. Whereas a conventional rod, how you can cast it is based on the weight of the lure. Here, our flies weigh almost nothing. So when they move a lot like a natural bait fish. They dart and dive on a horizontal plane. When they stop, and they kind of flutter. But yeah, they usually start coming up the river late March, early April. It's about a 2-month thing. Average fish kind of varies year to year. On average, most of your fish are going to be in that 6 to 12 pound class, but there's always a few, 15, 20, 25 pound fish. You get a hold of one of those on a fly rod, you got your hands full.
I got a question here from Reed Fuller. You know Reed Fuller?
Don't ring a bell.
All right, Reed Fuller here's got a question. Says, Jake, do you have any insight on fly fishing the Broad River for bass, a little south of your neck of the woods, but I live in Elberton, Georgia, and love to trout fish, but would like to fly fish a little closer to home?
Being a deer club down in Elberton, right off the Broad River, never spent much time fishing for bass there. A lot of the local guys that you talked to talked about an annual hybrid running up the river there. Hybrids are very hard pulling fish. You get them on a fly rod, and they put up quite a good fight.
So he was asking about bass. I guess would that be largemouth or shoal bass?
Down there, that's going to be largemouth.
Yeah.
Most of your shoal bass in Georgia are going to be found in the Chattahoochee, the Flint, and the Okmulgee. Some of the tributaries to those rivers, but there in the Broad, that's going to be largemouth.
Now, and so you guys fly fish for largemouth sometimes too, huh?
A little bit.
What do you use, like a big popper, or?
In the summer months, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of foam or deer hair flies.
What you talking about, Willis? Foam?
Just a foam head. Let's see here. I probably got one right here.
There you go. Let's get some visuals going here. That's what we need. Last week we had, old boy, Captain Lee Daldrell. Man, he showed everything in his tackle box.
Well, I can't do that. Got to keep a few things a secret. Yeah, so in the summer months when the largemouth get up shallow, we may throw a little popper, like this double barrel popper here.
Well, that's pretty good size.
Yeah, a little concave face on it.
I could probably fling that one.
Kind of like a bet popper you see at Walmart or Bass Pro popular.
Right.
There's more creative stuff out there. You've got deer hair, spun deer hair. This is a frog here. It's weedless. Got some mono weed guards on it.
All right, so that's all topwater right there then.
Mm-hmm. And so, you've got, depending upon what your bass are feeding on, whether they're crayfish or, bait fish or bluegill or what they may be, you've got flies like this Murdoch's minnow here.
Holy crap. Them things as big as some of our rubber baits.
Well, they get bigger. You can get them up.
Holy cow. And that's something that you're bass fishing with?
That's a little more of a trapper fly there.
I was going to say that had to be for stripers.
Yeah.
That thing was, my Lord.
With a bass will eat, a fly like that Murdoch's minnow right there, bass get that in its mouth, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
That fly's probably 4.5, 5 inches long.
Oh, yeah. Now, what kind of, I'm gonna get into some nerdy stuff here. Now, what weight and fly line would you use on something like that?
So we always match the line weight of the actual line weight to the rod weight. Bass fishing, going to be like a 6 to an 8. Kind of put it on a scale. There's 0 to 15 weight. Like a 2 weight would be a small, like brook trout rod. A little 5, 6 inch fish, small stream, tight quarter.
Yeah.
15 or 16 weight, that's going to be like your tuna, your billfish rods, things like that. Bass fishing, it kind of depends on, these flies are fairly wind resistant. So you got to have something that'll turn them over, that'll punch them. 6 to an 8, date weight rod, depending upon how big a fly you're throwing and how big a fish you're catching.
A lot of us are not really what you want to call fly fishermen, but we do kind of mess around with them. What is I don't talk about a cheap setup, but what's a good fly fishing setup? I mean, a good all around that you could go to a trout stream, or I'm not talking about riding in a Gilligan or whatever and trying to whip in behind some big boulders in Colorado or whatever else, but I'm talking about just the everyday guy that wants to go out and maybe catch a couple of fish here and there or something. What would be a good brand, weight, size, reel, all that?
As far as the length and the weight, I would look for a first rod to be a 9'5" weight. That's going to get you in the trout game. You can also go and catch some bluegill with it. Then you can even catch some small bass. That's kind of the best, starting outfit as far as length and weight. Then from there, as you get into whether you get into the small stream fishing world or you go to the big game stuff, then you'll go up or down your tackle. Brand-wise, I look at an Orbis Clearwater, Reddington Vice. Sage has got a lower end rod now, the Foundation. One of the biggest factors when you're setting up a rod is, and that's something that you definitely don't want to cheap out. You can get a mediocre rod and put a good line on it, and it'll perform how you want it to. You could get a really nice rod. You get a $700, $800, $900 rod and put a really cheap line on, and it's not going to do what you want it to do. So you're going to have to put some money in the fly line. Good fly line, ranges anywhere from about $50 to $75. Now, having said that, as beginners, you don't want to dump a whole lot of money into it because you don't know if you're going to like it. So, then I would look, there's a lot of combo packages out there. Orbis has got a great combo package, the Orbis Encounter. Reddington, they have a Path outfit. Those combos you can get into for about $160 to $200. And that's rod, reel, line, and everything.
So you're telling me that my fly reel that I have that's got that little trigger on it that just sucks up the line real fast, that ain't a good one to have?
That's kind of like the internet or technology. It works, or it's cool when it works. But one day you're going to pull all that line out, and that thing ain't going to come back. And you're going to be over there handlining it.
You know what I'm talking about too, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that thing has got to be 30 years old. I think it's what I've got.
Yeah.
I mean,
get you a little bluegill on a popper and just hit the trigger and just bring them in.
That thing is that big around. It's blue, and it's got that trigger on the end. Boy, you can whip all that line out, and man, you can hit that thing, and it'll suck that line up like your grandma's old vacuum cleaner. Suck it all the way up. I mean, through the eyes and everything. All the way. Just when it's out.
Get away from it.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you will. And once you hit it, you can't stop it. It's just like it's here. Come on, here it comes. Well, that's pretty cool. Then, all right. So see, we're learning some stuff here. We're learning. What's the farthest you've ever casted? One. I'm talking about one. What do they call this right here?
False cast.
Okay, yeah, false casted. What's your farthest one? Like Brad Pitt in A River Runs Through It. You know, when he's standing on the rock,
yeah.
And he's doing all that, and man, it's whipping all over the place.
Yeah. Everybody's seen the movie, and
that's
we
the
don't.
only thing I got to go on.
we don't fish at that kind of at a very far distance because it's control your line. It's really tough to set the hook, tough to get a good grip on the fly, good presentation. A few years ago, I used to do some competitive fly fishing, and first day, they would have a casting course, and you kind of had to make the cut to fish on Saturday or Sunday on the casting course. And one of the parts of the casting course was that you had to throw a distance cast. And I believe on the tape, the furthest I've ever thrown is 117 feet.
Is that a long way?
Well, the fly line itself is, depending upon what.
So you were about to the backing.
There was a little bit of backing behind it.
See, look at me talking some fly terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I guess the one fly rod and reel that I have, I can't even remember what it is. It may be a fluger for all I know. Whoever, of course, Fluger sent it to me years ago, but I got it and I took it up to Bass Pro, and they spooled it for me. They had to put that dude put the backing on it and did his deal with the line, and then the leader. That's so there's a lot to it.
Yes. Yeah. The backing is, for trout, it kind of fills the spool up so that you get higher line pickup per revolution of the reel. In our striper fisheries, we fly fish some carp around the area. Some of your bigger fish, the backing is an insurance policy because you ain't got but 30 yards to line on them. So if you hook a big fish and he takes all that line from you, then you've got that backing back there. So that he doesn't break you off.
Well, that's what it's. I guess why it's called backing. It's kind of it ought to be called backup.
It's good.
So what else, man? What else is going on? I mean, we've covered a lot of everything. I think you guys, have heard a little bit about what Jake and Unicoi Outfitters, and you can tell he's a fun guy. He's put up with me here for the past 45 minutes or however long we've been on. We've had a big time, but what else is going on for outdoor activities? Now, you said you're in Helen. Is that where you're in?
Helen. Yeah.
What kind of town is Helen? Is there any places to eat or anything over there? Or you got to eat what you catch or what?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great restaurants, depending upon what you want. A lot of great accommodations.
Now, do you guys have a lodge too?
We do not have a lodge.
Okay.
There's a place that we recommend a lot of people to stay is Smithville Woods, which is just outside of town. You're out of town, so you're not having to listen to the noise of town, but you're close if you need to go back. But Smithville Woods is a state park, and they have a few cabins up in an old growth hemlock forest. The stream comes right through there, and guests that are staying can fish on the stream daily. The stream's managed as a trophy class fishery. So a great place to take your family. There's hiking trails. There at Smithgall, there's a lot of waterfall hiking trails around the area. Great restaurants. Little shops in town to go and shop around. It's not a very big town. A lot of wineries for the wife. So, a lot of different stuff to do. Music, a little bit of everything.
What's your closest metropolitan area that we would all know?
Probably going to be Atlanta.
Okay. A couple hours?
From downtown Atlanta, you can be to us about an hour and a half, depending upon the traffic.
Well, then, as far as I'm concerned, you're too close to Atlanta. Good Lord. That place is a nightmare for traffic.
It is.
I know, because my Yamaha buddies, man, they have to fight that traffic every day.
Yes.
And, man, that has got to be miserable right there.
We try not to head south.
So what's coming up? I mean, somebody sees this right here and they just can't wait. So what's coming up right now that somebody could call Jake Darling at Unicoi Outfitters, and what would you tell them right this minute? Come on, this is biting or this is happening. Right
now is the start of our season. Our trophy waters are fishing phenomenal. In the state of Georgia, we've got 5 streams that are delayed harvest streams. And what that means is from November 1st to May 14th, these streams are artificial lures only, single hook, catch and release, dock them off season. On some of those pH streams right now, we're starting to see some bugs hatch, so we're starting to get on top. Nymph fishing should blow the surface. Now we're getting really close to my favorite time of the year, and in about 2 to 3 weeks, these stripers are going to start showing up at the river. Right now, on the lake, the past few years, there's been a very strong growth in targeting stripers on a fly rod on Lake Lanier on the impoundment. A lot of time, they're up near the surface, chasing bait. You actually see the fish blowing up on top. You present your fly in there, and if you're lucky, you get bit. But in about 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to start making their run up the river. And that's those 2 months.
That's where you shine, ain't it?
Yes. For 2 months, my wife, she doesn't see me much. So I'm out fishing.
So usually before the season, you'll shave, and by the time you get back, you got your full beard going again.
Yeah.
See, I just cut mine off. I am so glad.
I noticed that.
I am not envious of you with that thing at all. Let me tell you, that thing, I just feel like I'm 10 pounds lighter for one thing. And I didn't have a mountain man beard like you got. Mine was just, and if it was one color, if it was all black like it used to be, I looked like a drug lord. But I needed it to just be all one color, just white or all gray or whatever. But, I don't know how old I got to be in order for my hair to turn gray. I mean, you look at here, man, I still got a lot of dark hair.
You got a little bit.
Shoot, I'm pushing 65 years old. I mean, man, I'm getting old. I'm about as old as Uncle Bill Fondren. But anyway, let's see what we got right here. We got a lot of people. Tom Askew said he loves you.
Tom's got a big beard.
Well, I'm sure
He's got a monster beard.
And
we'll post a picture on there. Check it out.
Aaron is saying Smithgall is amazing, saying that the tubing in Helen is great. Patty Ashball, you know her?
I do.
She's got the hearts for you there. She's got the smiley face with the hearts and saying, "What's up, Jake?" So we got the great Ryan Casey. If you don't know who Ryan Casey is, he's with Show Me Catfishing, but he's watching. I wanted to do a show with him at some point, but he don't have internet where he's at. The catfishermen are poor. They're not like you. They're Orvis guys and all that right there. He's a poor old lonely catfisherman, and he ain't got no money, so he can't afford internet. But anyway, hey, Jake, is there anything else? I mean, we've bored people probably enough by now, and if there's anything else you want to,
one thing I would hit on is kind of the glamour, the fame and the glamour behind the shoal bass. I have quite a few guys that come to me that are like species guys that, try to check off as many as they can in their fishing career. We're fortunate here right in our backyard to have a phenomenal shoal bass fishery. You can't go anywhere in the world and catch them. It's a very limited range. These fish, they don't grow very fast. They tell a cool story. They've got battle scars on them. If you get a 20-inch fish, that fish has been in the river a long time and it's been through a lot. It's an untapped resource by many. But the river tells a cool story. The fish tell a cool story. And they're hard fighters. I think as anglers to have something like that in our backyard, it's important that we all work together to conserve and protect that resource. Because it is a very limited resource.
Well, I hope they do, and I'm sure the Georgia DNR will do what they can. And you guys, if you're looking for a neat trip, who wouldn't want to go up into the beautiful parts of North Georgia? It's pretty up there. It's green, I can tell you that. It's green in Georgia, like Doc Holliday said in Tombstone. When they ask him about Georgia, he says it's green. Well, it still is up there. You can see Jake Darling at Unicoi Outfitters. How do they get a hold of you, Jake? UnicoiOutfitters.com or
UnicoiOutfitters.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Numbers on the webpage there. Numbers on all of our social media outlets. If you're in the area, just stop by and say hi. We love to talk fishing. Love to have people in the shop. Love to see, the range of where everybody comes from. So, if you can, love to have you stop by.
All right, man. Thank you, Jake. We really appreciate you taking your time. Sorry that it didn't happen last night. I don't think it was anything on your end. I just think it's just fickle internet.
I'm blaming it on you.
Everything. Well, hey, that's my middle name is Blame. So, but hey, we want to thank the good people at Fripp Outdoors here with Fripp T-shirts and all. Check them out at frippandfolly.com. Help support the people that support this crazy show that we're doing here, this podcast, and all of our cast of knuckleheads that we have on here, and we all have a good time. And this is something that's new to the web, and we're kind of in it in the beginnings, and we've got great people like Jake Darling that come on here and help us out and tell us about the wonderful world of outdoors and fishing in his neck of the woods. So we want to thank everybody for joining us on Facebook and around. Like I said, if you shared this post, you can make sure that you'll be up for a nice Fripp and Folly care package that they'll send you. I don't know what, there'll be some shirts or something, and maybe even a nice little cup like I've been drinking out of here. I won't tell you what's been in that cup here, but it's all gone. But anyway, hey, we're going to sign off for Jake Darling at Unicoi Outfitters. I'm just merely Scott Turnage, the old G3 sportsman. Thank you, Fripp Outdoors Live, for helping us bring this. And just remember, Fripp Outdoors, where's your adventure? So we'll see you next week. We hope, as it says there, we hope we see you next week right here, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we are.